Thank you very much for being here. The 50th meeting of the GST Council was held today. There was a short film shown at the beginning showing the journey that has been through these 50 council meetings. The Postal Department was kind enough to issue a My Stamp and first a special cover marking the 50th GST Council meeting. I'll get into the details of the outcome of today's meeting. I'll divide it for your convenience into decision taken on rates of some goods and services and some clarifications which have been issued, and also some regularizations which have happened. So when I'm talking about rates on goods, it will mean that reduction in some items, regularization in some items, and clarification in some items. So that's on goods. Similarly on services. And the third item, which or second, if I keep goods and services as one because all of them pertain to rate. So if that is the first silo, the second silo will relate to GOMs, recommendations, discussion, and the outcome. So that will be the second. That will have a few GOMs, not just one, so I can elaborate on each one of them a bit later. And the third is to reassure and also to give data on how many states have given us AG certified accounts for compensation dues which are pending for several months, not at our end, but waiting the AG certificate. So largely today's GST Council meeting had outcomes on rate-related matters on goods, rate-related matters on services, and on GOMs, and finally on this. So I'll just very quickly tell you, on 4 items, rates have been brought down. They relate to uncooked, unfried, extruded snack pellets, by whatever name that you would call them. So rate has been brought down from 18% to 5%. Then similarly on fish soluble paste, again from 18 to 5%. And then imitation zari threads or yarn known by any name in trade parlance, even that has come down from 12 to 5. And LD slag to be at par with blast furnace slag and fly ash. So LD slag has come down from 18 to 5%. So there are 4 items on which the rates have come down. 3 received exemptions. So they are cancer-related drugs, rare medicines for rare diseases, and food products for special medical purposes. These are 3 items on which exemptions have been provided. Then on 5 items, we have regularized for those earlier periods in which some people paid, some did not pay, because there were duality of rates or classification confusion or issues related to classification, and as a result some people pay, some people don't. There's a lot of confusion about it. So there the council has taken a call on 5 such instances, therefore 5 such items, that it shall regularize it, meaning those who have paid it have paid it, those who have not paid it will not go to recover from them. So such regularization has happened in 5 different items. For example, the first example that I like to give you, which had a clarification on regularization, is on the taxability issue of trauma spine arthroplasty implants. There was a confusion about it. Now we've regularized, and that period to which it pertains is 18 July 2022, and to regularize it to that period on an as-is basis is what has happened. So, for example, this is one item I can tell you. There's one more item as an example I can give you, is on raw cotton, including kala cotton, from agriculturists to cooperatives. So that has been, we've issued a regularization on that, clarifying that it is taxable, and its regulation for the past period we have regularized it. It's a taxable item, but earlier if there's been confusion because of classification related items or definition or confusion, we are regularizing that period. We are not going to recover from them. So such regularization with clarification has been issued for 5 different item heads. On one particular item, we have expanded the scope of taxation, and this is a topic in which I remember at least in 2 or 3 different council meetings, particularly the Deputy Chief Minister of Haryana had spoken about. It is on the SUV vehicles. And on that too, we have expanded. The details is given as to which are those vehicles which are getting covered. I'll give you the details a bit further, but there's also this issue that there was a request that 20% taxation and 22% taxation be rationalized, so everything get merged and be taxed at 22%. We have not gone with that recommendation, because if you do, then sedan also gets included into it, and 2 states specifically had objected for including sedans. Punjab and Tamil Nadu did not want sedans to be included under that, so that has gone through that way. We've expanded the scope, but not to such an extent that sedans get included. But the details will be part of our press release, so you will know about it. Then there were also technical changes which had happened, essentially because we wanted the GST to be in alignment with the new trade policy, which has been issued by the Commerce Ministry. On the compensation cess, particularly on items like chewing tobacco, there is some clarification issued. Because there was a need to issue it, because you had the retail selling price, and the GOM had prescribed its suggestions, whereas when it is sold in bulk, the RSP is not visible. So we've gone back to the pre-RSP rate structure. So that is another decision which has been taken today. So 6 of them largely on the goods-related decisions. And on services, first item is of interest, and the other things which can be elaborated later. We've offered exemption on GST for satellite launch services provided by private organizations. Satellite launch services which are being provided by private organizations. They shall not be levied GST. There are a few more on the services also. I can see one item which will be of great interest for you. On the taxability of food or beverages served in cinema hall. I would like Revenue Secretary to elaborate on it a bit later. So on the services, there is a set of decisions of which one of them will be attractive, but I'll let you know about the others as well. On the GOM, recommendation particularly on casinos, race courses, and online gaming. Something on which the GST Council had formed a GOM in October of 2020, and since then this has gone round, second round of GOMs. The same GOM went through the whole matter again for the second time. The report was submitted. A lot of stakeholders met the Chief Minister of Meghalaya who headed this, who was the convener of this group. But today I'm happy to say that we've arrived at decisions. And the decisions are, one, there will be some amendment to the GST law to include online gaming also in it. And simply put, you can of course seek clarification when you ask questions. Simply put, online gaming, horse racing and casinos will be taxed. They will be taxed at 28%, each one, and they will be taxed on full face value. There can be greater explanations and details given by Secretary and the board members, even as you ask questions. Then there was a decision also taken on the GST Appellate Tribunal, that is on appointment and conditions of services and so on. So most states have given their request for where these benches will have to be present. And also on the selection, there was a lot of clarification provided. So decision has been taken on that as well. Other clarifications which are also issued on various other details, which the press release will also tell you. If there is any question that you want to ask, you can further ask on it. There was a complete presentation done also on the IT system reforms. So largely, these are the decisions. And on the compensation released, as I said, the summary of it is states which have given for whichever year AG's certified claims payments have been cleared by us. But there are some states for whom still a lot of, or more than 1 year's AG certificates are still due, for whom we'll wait for the reports to come, and as and when it comes, we clear it. This has also been said in the council itself. So this is largely what it is. First of all, this has been discussed a lot in the council. Today too, very substantive discussions have taken place. I just want to indicate to you what this discussion is all about and why the decisions have been taken the way they've been taken. And also on the question of the Métis coming up with it. We'll, of course, as a government as a whole and also GST Council, will make sure that we are in constant touch with each other. Métis technical regulation related, and also they're probably likely to provide a list of those which are, possibly recognized kind of, or inclusive list or an exclusion list, whichever they're going to do. That is largely on the side of regulating them and identifying certain whatever games which are beyond the realm or whatever. What we are taking as a position is, this is purely on the taxation. So that is one simple differentiation that I want to do. Even as I say it, we will still align with what the Métis wants to bring in as their regulation. Yes, the matter being sub judice was also discussed, and if I'm right and subject to my getting corrected in case there is anything wrong, the discussion also looked at what is skill-based and what is chance-based. Whatever be the decision on each of the game being either skill or chance-based, or being both or being neither, is not what we are looking at. We are purely looking at that which is being taxed, because it creates value, profit is being made, or a wager is being levied. Based on the wager, people earn windfall, which is what is betting all about. So that's what we've been talking about. And therefore, today's decision looks at that aspect of what is to be taxed at what rate. ऑनलाइन गेमिंग इंडस्ट्री का आज का इम्पैक्ट कितना है और इसमें कितनी रेवेन्यू जनरेशन का पोटेंशियल है, इसके ऊपर भी चर्चा हुआ। और इंडस्ट्री को खत्म करना ऐसे कोई कुछ हमारे एजेंडा में नहीं है। आप जैसे पूछ रहे हैं कि वो टफ हो जाएगा, आई एम सॉरी, नो, क्योंकि हाँ, हर तरह का बिजनेसेस चालू रखना है। जैसे कैसीनो गोवा की, जैसे कैसीनो सिक्किम की, दोनों वो स्टेट छोटे हैं और उनके आर्ग्यूमेंट ये था कि एकदम हमारे टूरिज्म में इसका असर बहुत बड़ा है। इसके ऊपर विस्तार से चर्चा हुआ। सो इट्स नॉट सो मच आवर पोजीशन, एवरी स्टेट फेल्ट इट। और इतनी दूर तक भी डिस्कशन हुआ, जिस स्टेट का कैसीनो से ताल्लुक ज्यादा है उनसे बहुत सारे हम सुने भी, उसके बाद ही ये निर्णय लिया गया। मैं सिर्फ वो आपके सामने उदाहरण रखना चाहती हूं। जब कैसीनो टैक्सेशन के ऊपर चर्चा हुई, मैं स्टेट का नाम नहीं लेते मगर विषय बोल रही हूं, इतने दूर तक डिस्कशन चला कि क्या कैसीनो को प्रमोट करने के लिए, क्योंकि वो टूरिज्म का बहुत अहम मुद्दा है एक आध स्टेट्स के लिए, उसमें टैक्स फूड प्रोडक्ट से भी कम होना चाहिए क्या? उतने दूर तक भी आज डिस्कशन गया। और दूसरा ये भी पॉइंट आया, ठीक है प्रमोट करना है, मगर उसको प्रमोट करने के द्वारा क्या हम देश को ये संदेश दे रहे हैं बाकी सब में टैक्स रेट 5 है, 12 है, 18 है, मगर इनको उससे भी कम देना है? सो एक मॉरल क्वेश्चन के ऊपर भी डिस्कशन हुआ कि एक तरफ आप उस इंडस्ट्री को खत्म नहीं करना चाह रहे, मगर इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि एसेंशियल गुड्स से भी ज्यादा प्रोत्साहन उनको दो। सो आज मैं बहुत ही मन में गर्व महसूस कर रही हूं कि काउंसिल में आज बहुत ही इमोशनल तरीके से इसको कितनी दूर तक हम लेके जाना और कितनी दूर तक हम इसको समझना, इसके ऊपर हर स्टेट का भागीदारी रही। और जो 2-3 साल से पेंडिंग है निर्णय, आज वो निर्णय हम ले पाए, इसीलिए कि हर स्टेट उसके ऊपर उनके अपने भागीदारी स्पष्ट रखे। सो हमारे इंटेंट ये नहीं है कि ऑनलाइन गेमिंग हो, कैसीनो हो, हॉर्स रेसिंग हो, कोई इसका हम खत्म करने के लिए नहीं कर रहे हैं, मगर ये सब इतना कॉम्प्लेक्स हो गए हैं कि इस रूट में जाओ या उस रूट में जाओ, हर रूट में एक हद तक ट्रांसपेरेंसी है, उसके बाद वो ओपेक है। उसको पियर्स करते हुए अंदर जाकर के हम पूरे वैल्यू को निर्णय कर पाएंगे नहीं, नामुमकिन है। So it is impossible to pierce that veil of veil which brings opacity on how actually it is operated, and then say, no, I know what happens inside, therefore I'll only go by that. I'll go following every fellow, every tourist, and say, are you playing at this table? Are you paying at that table? How much pay you pay? Impossible to execute. So the discussion went thoroughly. और ये नहीं है कि कोई इंडस्ट्री और कोई खेल और कोई ऐसे हॉर्स रेसिंग और कुछ हो उसको खत्म करने के लिए, मगर वो भी होना चाहिए कि सिंप्लीफाइड सिस्टम होना चाहिए, ना कि वो जाके खेलने वाले के पीछे हम पड़े और कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी बढ़वाए। ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस सबको तो चाहिए।
Yeah, so the food and beverages part, last one first. So there was a doubt as to whether food and beverages, when consumed within a cinema, should be taxed at 18%, which is the tax rate for cinema services, or 5% without ITC, which is the tax rate for the restaurant services. So it has been clarified today. by the council that it will be for the foods and beverages that one consumes in the cinema halls, it shall be 5% and not 18%. The second question relates to some of the medicines. So there is a specific list, by the Department of Health. Some diseases which are rare diseases, there is a list which they keep updating, and basis that list on the recommendation of a government health health officer, imports of medicines as well as special foods relating to these rare diseases, the exemption on IGST shall be provided.
It is imported by centers of excellence for rare diseases or by any person or institution on the recommendation of any of the listed center of excellence. Anyway, the medicine is also a listed set of medicines which is released by the Ministry of Health. So it has to be in the list. It can be imported by the center of excellences or the person for particular use. So that's it.
And on the SUVs, see, previously or till now, for a vehicle to be categorized as SUV to attract your compensation cess, higher compensation cess, 4 conditions were needed. One is that it should be popularly known as SUV. It should have a length more than 4 meters. Then it should have an engine capacity exceeding 1500 cc and ground clearance of 170 millimeters or above. So now the council has decided that only last three conditions, which is the ground clearance, the length and the engine, but not popularly known as SUV, shall be deleted. Only these 3 conditions shall be necessary. The other thing the council has also clarified is that when we mention 170 mm of ground clearance, then it is without lading, without any weight. So it is unladen vehicle, weight unladen. In unladen condition, the ground clearance shall be seen.
ऑनलाइन गेमिंग इंडस्ट्री का आज का इम्पैक्ट कितना है और इसमें कितनी रेवेन्यू जनरेशन का पोटेंशियल है, इसके ऊपर भी चर्चा हुआ। और इंडस्ट्री को खत्म करना ऐसे कोई कुछ हमारे एजेंडा में नहीं है। आप जैसे पूछ रहे हैं कि वो टफ हो जाएगा, आई एम सॉरी, नो, क्योंकि हाँ, हर तरह का बिजनेसेस चालू रखना है। जैसे कैसीनो गोवा की, जैसे कैसीनो सिक्किम की, दोनों वो स्टेट छोटे हैं और उनके आर्ग्यूमेंट ये था कि एकदम हमारे टूरिज्म में इसका असर बहुत बड़ा है। इसके ऊपर विस्तार से चर्चा हुआ। सो इट्स नॉट सो मच आवर पोजीशन, एवरी स्टेट फेल्ट इट। और इतनी दूर तक भी डिस्कशन हुआ, जिस स्टेट का कैसीनो से ताल्लुक ज्यादा है उनसे बहुत सारे हम सुने भी, उसके बाद ही ये निर्णय लिया गया। मैं सिर्फ वो आपके सामने उदाहरण रखना चाहती हूं। जब कैसीनो टैक्सेशन के ऊपर चर्चा हुई, मैं स्टेट का नाम नहीं लेते मगर विषय बोल रही हूं, इतने दूर तक डिस्कशन चला कि क्या कैसीनो को प्रमोट करने के लिए, क्योंकि वो टूरिज्म का बहुत अहम मुद्दा है एक आध स्टेट्स के लिए, उसमें टैक्स फूड प्रोडक्ट से भी कम होना चाहिए क्या? उतने दूर तक भी आज डिस्कशन गया। और दूसरा ये भी पॉइंट आया, ठीक है प्रमोट करना है, मगर उसको प्रमोट करने के द्वारा क्या हम देश को ये संदेश दे रहे हैं बाकी सब में टैक्स रेट 5 है, 12 है, 18 है, मगर इनको उससे भी कम देना है? सो एक मॉरल क्वेश्चन के ऊपर भी डिस्कशन हुआ कि एक तरफ आप उस इंडस्ट्री को खत्म नहीं करना चाह रहे, मगर इसका मतलब ये नहीं है कि एसेंशियल गुड से भी ज्यादा प्रोत्साहन उनको दो। सो आज मैं बहुत ही मन में गर्व महसूस कर रही हूं कि काउंसिल में आज बहुत ही इमोशनल तरीके से इसको कितनी दूर तक हम लेके जाना और कितनी दूर तक हम इसको समझना, इसके ऊपर हर स्टेट का भागीदारी रही। और जो 2-3 साल से पेंडिंग है निर्णय, आज वो निर्णय हम ले पाए, इसीलिए कि हर स्टेट उसके ऊपर उनके अपने भागीदारी स्पष्ट रखे। सो हमारे इंटेंट ये नहीं है कि ऑनलाइन गेमिंग हो, कसिनो हो, हॉर्स रेसिंग हो, कोई इसका हम खत्म करने के लिए नहीं कर रहे हैं, मगर ये सब इतना कॉम्प्लेक्स हो गए हैं कि इस रूट में जाओ या उस रूट में जाओ, हर रूट में एक हद तक ट्रांसपेरेंसी है, उसके बाद वो ओपेक है। उसको पियर्स करते हुए अंदर जाकर के हम पूरे वैल्यू को निर्णय कर पाएंगे नहीं, नामुमकिन है। So it is impossible to pierce that veil of veil which brings opacity on how actually it is operated, and then say, no, I know what happens inside, therefore I'll only go by that. I'll go following every fellow, every tourist, and say, are you playing at this table? Are you paying at that table? How much pay you pay? Impossible to execute. So the discussion went thoroughly. और ये नहीं है कि कोई इंडस्ट्री और कोई खेल और कोई ऐसे हॉर्स रेसिंग और कुछ हो उसको खत्म करने के लिए, मगर वो भी होना चाहिए कि सिंप्लीफाइड सिस्टम होना चाहिए, ना कि वो जाके खेलने वाले के पीछे हम पड़े और कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी बढ़वाए। ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस सबको तो चाहिए।
So there are some changes that have been proposed in the procedure and law to take care of bogus billing and fake invoicing. So we've come at it in two different ways. One is to tighten the registration process further so that we can eliminate the possibility of bogus firms being registered under GST. One of the requirements that has now been stipulated is that the bank account details, valid bank account details of the person who's seeking registration need to be provided. In case they're not provided, the registration can be automatically revoked or suspended. Then, even if Aadhaar has been authenticated, physical verification can be resorted to in case there are reasons to believe that the unit is suspicious. And the third is that when we are doing a physical verification, the presence of the applicant will not be mandatory. It will not be currently what happens is when we go for physical verification of a premises, the applicant has to be present at the premises. So we are saying that that will not be mandatory. And finally, the pilot for biometric authentication of Aadhaar, that also has been put on a formal sort of footing. So these are some 3-4 measures. Along with that, there are details you'll find about mismatches between GSTR 2B and 3B, how they will be reconciled. There are some revised procedure, instructions pertaining to that. So those details are there in the press release.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Friends.